Well, it's Thursday night, and that means it's time for some must see live streaming. And I'm going to share a band with you from Southwestern Virginia. They are known as a Vessel of Honor. Not only is their music that you're going to hear challenge and nourish your spirit, but it is going to literally melt your face off. We have a Vessel of Honor with us in the house tonight. They are all crammed into that little area there, but looking good. Welcome to the live stream.
Thank you.
What's
up? It's good to be here.
Hey, so excited to have you. So before we jump into your music and find out more about this project, A Vessel of Honor, can each of you introduce yourselves and tell us what it is that you do as a member of the band?
Go for it.
I'm Corbin. I play drums for the band.
I'm Thad Christian. I am lead vocals and backup guitar.
I am Matthew Eanes. I play lead guitar and I do backing clean vocals and screaming vocals main.
I'm Ian Bishop and I play bass.
Love it.
Awesome. The bass player. I'm going to start with the young guy who's the newest guy. You know, most kids, when they want to join a rock band, they run away from their parents and hide from their parents. But we've got Corbin over here who just joined as a drummer. What's it like playing? Your dad is Matthew. What's it like playing in your dad's band?
It's pretty cool. As far as drums go.
Oh, as far as drums go.
I just said drums.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Matt, what's it like having your son play with you?
It's the best feeling in the world. It's like my best friend. I didn't show him nothing. He just kind of came out the womb that way. Yeah. So it makes me proud. But
2 years old, right?
Yeah, he's 11. His birthday was yesterday.
I'm saying when he
Yeah.
Yeah, he started playing at 2 years old. So
really, was it at 2, Corbin, when you started playing drums?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome. And belated happy birthday. I'm a March birthday as well. Mine was on March 1st. So fun hanging out with it. Yeah, we got a lot of March babies in the house. And hey, I want to welcome everybody that's joining us. We have a Vessel of Honor on with us this evening, and they are from Southwest Virginia, and their music is just absolutely phenomenal. We're talking to Corbin, who's the newest member of the band and also the youngest member of the band. Thad, I want to ask you this question. I saw this in your EPK and in the bio, that this project came about as a result of a need that you saw for some believers. What was that need that you saw for believers, and how does your band fill that need?
Well, definitely, there's a lot of bands that really are represent Christ, right? And there's a lot of good heavy metal music out there, and there's even so few people that kind of blur the difference, maybe lean more secularly or lean more towards Christian values. And but there's very few people that when they start putting things together, they do so intentionally as ministry to both believers and non-believers. Christian music, in my experience and what was kind of given to me growing up in church, tends to shy away from some of the harder topics. It talks about depression or addiction, or how do we handle everyday stresses? How do we handle debt? How do we handle living in the world that we live in and still keeping our heads on straight? And the need for me, for believers, that I saw was a band that leaned towards the heavier side of things, right? Something that would fit the heavy metal bill, but talked about real things. So believers we need to be fed too. It's not just, it's not always going to be everything is so great and everything's happy worship music, and we need that. We need that gap to be filled for us too, into something that's both entertaining, but also deals with some of those heavier hitting topics.
You just blew my bubble tonight. It's not going to be all rainbows, unicorns, and roses, is what you're telling me.
That's right.
Oh, man. I'm just going to go and sit in the corner and cry right now that it's not that way. That's one of the things that I really like about the metal genre is it addresses what's real. I was in and out of heavy metal as a kid. I liked it. It was something that I enjoyed. But for a long time, I listened to pop music, and that really stopped after I had a brain tumor removed and had to face death myself.
Wow.
And there's some good pop that I like, some good Christian pop that I like, and some other pop as well. But I was like, I just can't deal with this anymore. It's just not real. It just seemed fake to me. And when I hear metal, when I hear harder music, it's a great backdrop for the harder topics that we need to address. And unfortunately, a lot of the church, Thad, as you said, they're not addressing those topics. And it's a great place. It's a great place to address those topics. I'm very fascinated by your name, A Vessel of Honor. What does that represent, or what does it symbolize?
Well, you hit the nail on the head with our verse that you shared at the very beginning, 2 Timothy 2:21. But you have to, I love the fact that it starts with therefore, because if you're a Christian, you have to look before the therefore to see what the therefore is there for, right? And it gets you reading your scripture. And if you're not into scripture, you're like, therefore, you're like, okay, I get it. That's cool. But if you're into scripture, it's going to ask you to dive deeper. And this particular topic in scripture is where we're being called to look at the vessels in our house. We have some vessels that are made of gold. We have some vessels that are made of clay. And the vessels of gold, they're often set aside for special purposes, right? We stick them up on a shelf. We say, hey, that's awesome. And that's really good. But we don't use them every day. And the next verse talks about when we clean those vessels, we can clean those earthen vessels and they'll be suited for every purpose. And therefore, we set these aside, and they are set aside as vessels of honor. And the idea is that daily we have to live our faith. We have to cleanse ourselves on a regular basis. We have to fight those struggles. We have to fight those battles. And when we do that, we also have to live out our faith. We can't just stick it on a shelf and take it down on Sundays and brush the dust off. It's something that's meant to be used as everyday wear. And because we do that every day, those vessels that some people think may be dirty, if you use your faith every day, it's going to get dirty. If I have to apologize for everything I do at work, or if I have to live my faith as I'm called to at work or in my home in some cases, then those things are going to get dirty. My faith is going to get all jumbled up. Well, the idea is that it's those things that we use every day that actually hold that special place. And those are set aside as a vessel of honor. And that's where the name A Vessel of Honor came from.
Yeah, no one likes a dirty soul.
No one likes a dirty soul.
No one likes
That's right.
No one likes a dirty vessel. My bad.
That was worth its weight in the live stream and podcast right there, folks. I mean, you just got your money's worth out of that. And that's what I love about doing this. And one of the things that I found is that a lot of the musicians that we talk to have such profound insight into scripture. And it just blows my mind because, I hear them and we deal with it over here. It's like, oh, you guys are playing hard and heavy music. That's not of God. You're this, you're this, you're this. And then all of a sudden, you hear something like that, and that is so profound. And again, that is not what is being spoken in most churches across America today.
Right.
Things like that. And I just want to give a shout out to Stephen Jones, who's watching. He's watching on YouTube, and his birthday is on March 6th. So we really do have a lot of March people.
Yep. My daughter's birthday is Saturday, March 12th. So
awesome.
Yeah, and we got a lot of March birthdays hanging out.
Happy birthday to
you. Do. Yes.
And his Matt's anniversary is in March too.
Congratulations, Matt. What day is your anniversary?
March 25th.
Yeah.
March 20th. And how many years?
It'll be 13 years this year.
Yeah.
Wow.
the 22 cars we've gone through.
Yeah, and way too many. Yeah, thanks, Corbin.
Congratulations. Yeah, March is an interesting month. When you look at scripture, and you do a study of way things that were done. A lot of things happened in March, the Passover, and that was the time that Joshua and Israel crossed over the Jordan River as well. So it's a very, very important month. And you take a look at world events. I don't want to freak people out too much here, but I just want to say this real quick. We're taking a look at what's going on in the Ukraine right now with everything just kind of getting more fired up. Well, if you look at history, recent history, it was March 20th, 2003 that the U.S. invaded Iraq. Yep. Okay. Mm-hmm. And then it was March 19th, 2020 when COVID shut down the U.S. and pretty much the world. So March is a very interesting month. Hold on and buckle up, people. It's about to get wild out there. But that's why we're talking about scripture, and that's why we're talking about good music. What would you say is the mission of a Vessel of Honor? What is your purpose?
Well, definitely reaching both the churched and unchurched. That's critical to our mission. We hope that believers will find something that they identify within our music, and they will be reached, and they will be fed, and they will be lifted up. Maybe they're going through a hard time, or maybe everything's good and they need help understanding maybe the mindset of others. And those are great things. But more than that, just unbelievers. We get to play in a lot of places that Christ is not professed very often.
We kind of like it that way.
Yeah, and we prefer that. And that's something we have to weigh. With Corbin being so young, some of the venues that we play in, he's not even able to go in unless he's playing the show, and then he has to leave right after. And we have to watch what he's exposed to, obviously. But
obviously, it gives him a good knowledge of what to look out for and what not to do either.
Yeah. That's right. But also, reaching unbelievers, apologetics is very strong in our ministry. And when you look at the way we reach out to others and the people that we reach out to, they are people that they may have been hurt by church in the past, or they may have very negative views of Christianity because of the way they look, the way they dress, or something that their belief has been along the way.
That's better.
So we work to mend those fences and to make new bridges with unbelievers, but also to bring believers back into the fold, people that may be left out, people that may be ostracized because they listen to metal and go to metal shows. It's amazing the times we get to meet believers that are like, yeah, I'm a believer too. That's awesome. I wish we had a church that did this, and getting to connect with some of those people. That's definitely, so those 3 bullet points hit our mission. Reaching believers, reaching unbelievers, and then bringing believers back into the fold.
I would also have to add to that, learning more ourselves as we go along.
Yeah. That's a huge mission that you guys have got. I mean, that's a heavy, we're talking about heavy metal, we're talking about hard rock, we're talking about heavy theology, heavy apologetics, and that's a heavy mission. And I think that God really moves upon musicians that are more on the bend or lean towards the metal because they have a passion that a lot of other people don't have. And I think that's why the devil has taken such a great interest in, or one of the reasons why he's taken such a great interest in the music and stole it, really.
That's right. That's right.
It belongs to God. It's his. And I really appreciate what you're doing. And I want to circle back for just a second for Matt and Corbin. I just want to say to you, it's just very encouraging to see 2 generations running and working together, especially a father and a son. And we're living in a time where God is turning the heart of the father towards the son and the heart of the son towards the father. And that's just really a beautiful picture of what God's wanting to do right now. And it just really encourages me to see 2 generations working together. And that's where God wants us to be. He wants us to get out of this mode of, oh yeah, well, I'm the older generation. I know more. Just sit back and watch what I do. And the younger generation is like, no, you're doing it all wrong. But when you get the 2 working together in unity, there's something beautiful there. And I really believe that God's going to bless you guys for that. Not just your heart in scripture, but the way that this is all unfolding. And I just have to share something really quick. All of the metal bands, Christian metal bands that I have interviewed over the past 4 years, have been a family. Either father,
Yeah.
son, husband, wife. I mean, you just cannot get away from it. And it's just so beautiful to see that, how God honors that through ministry. I'd like to talk about your illustration that you use. And I absolutely love this. I'm going to put it up on the screen so that our viewers can see it, and I'll describe it for our listeners on the replay. We've got a vessel, a ship on a wild ocean beneath. Yeah, we got the
I love that. Yeah.
we got the sea monster under there.
Charybdis.
No pun intended, but I would imagine that there's a deep pun was intended. Deep message behind that. What is the message behind the illustration?
Well, it means a lot to a lot of different folks within the group. If you look at a lot of the imagery we use a lot of nautical themes. We use a lot of octopuses or sea monsters or krakens, and we have a lot of that theme that runs through our music as well, nautically inspired stuff. And Jesus called us to be fishers of men, right? The first people he went to are the fishermen, and so that's where a lot of that started. When you think of the word vessel, you often don't think about, unless you're a Jars of Clay fan, you don't think about an earthen vessel, right? So vessel tends to lean towards that nautical theme. And one of the things that's out there, here be monsters at the edge of the map. The edge of where things are. It used to be the saying that's where monsters lied. And that's, you don't know what's out there. And the idea, you can start with uncharted waters and the fear of what's out there. But literally for me, the monster symbolizes the things that would come after us, the things that will weigh us down. And the vessel symbolizes us. We're on storm-tossed sea. And sometimes that monster is going to get the best of us and start to try to drag us down. And sometimes we're going to ride right through the storm. So if you listen to a lot of our songs, that's that theme flows through there, especially in this next album that we have releasing this fall. That theme goes all the way through that. And, we deal with that directly in some songs
as well. It's like a giant story.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
So you're going to move more towards the progressive side with it, with storytelling.
Yeah.
Ooh, progressive. I like that word.
Yes.
That's a very Dream Theater word.
Does the sea monster have a name, like Ed the Head or the guy from Disturbed?
It's been called a lot of stuff. So the Kraken, but this particular sea monster is modeled after Charybdis.
Yeah.
So if you're a fan of Greek myths, you can look that up and you can check that out. But the general story is Poseidon and cursed someone to always suck in water and always be thirsty. And I forget which sea it's on and which, the Bering Strait or something like that. But there's a constant whirlpool. There's a constant maelstrom that happens on that sea. And legend goes that was where someone was cursed by Poseidon. But that again is an allusion to the fact that Charybdis is that monster, right? And if we don't follow God, we will always be thirsty. We will always be sucking in seawater and hoping for more. And if we truly want water, right, the woman at the well, you come with me and you'll never be thirsty again. I'll give you living water.
I want to get back to the progressive.
Right?
I'm still waiting. I'm still waiting on him to let me loose on some progressive ideas.
We'll get to that.
Yeah. Slow down. We're not all at that skill level yet. You need to slow down. Oh no, he is.
Yeah.
Hey, we've got a comment from our friends Warriors of Light. They are a industrial Christian metal band down in Florida, and
I've heard of them. One of the bookers that I talked to hipped me to them, and I looked them up. They're really good.
They are intense. They are intense, and they're good.
Trying to book in Florida, and that's one of the bands he told me to check out.
Yeah, shoot us a message if you got some venues down there. We'd love to.
It was them, Gold GFM, Gold Frankincense Myrrh. It was
it's all three.
Yeah, all three-piece metal Christian band. Yeah. No, those are awesome bands in Florida, and we can't wait to get back down. Well, to get down to Florida.
Yep, that's right.
Florida is like a haven for not just metal, but Christian metal as well.
Yeah.
A lot of the bands that I've worked with come out of Florida. I don't know what's going on there. Oh, hey, and Warriors of Light, they say we got to team up for sure. All the glory to God. So
I'll hit you up.
Yeah,
I'll hit you up on Facebook
Absolutely.
or whatever it is. Just comment and I'll find it, man. That's what I mainly do. I do the social networking and booking, and they help as much as they can. But he's got 3 kids, and you know he's going to have some.
Not yet.
Oh,
And I only
Not
have
yet.
one.
That is not an
Yeah.
announcement. My wife would probably freak out.
Oh, what? Not, it can't be no worse than mine. When mine found out, she was like, "Where are we gonna put it?" I'm like, "It's not an it, babe. It's a baby." And
so I
put
just
the
need to
baby
clarify for
together.
everybody that's not a formal announcement that there's
No.
a baby on the way.
No, not at all.
No. We just love scaring him.
How would you guys describe your music?
Go, Matt.
Progressive.
All right. So it started out, it was just me and Thad, and we had previous music bands before this.
My
And
Revengeance.
no, he wasn't in My
know.
Revengeance. That's when we went different ways and then came back.
Yeah.
And then we got back together, and he's like, "Hey, man, I want to write some music." I'm like, "Really? Okay." So we wrote music, and he's like, "I want it to be something that we've never done before." And then, you know, there were a few bands that we had listened to. We were trying to decide on tunings and whatnot. And he's like, "I really want you to just go all out." And then I went all out, and he's like, "Wait, we got to go back.
Yeah,
You're
you gotta
going
rein that
way too
in just a
much.
little bit.
You got to like slow that down. I want the progressive. I want the soul. I want the rhythms, but we got to make it catchy and we got to make it, you know, relatable." So we got together. We started doing all that. The progressiveness with all the music. We wanted to go as heavy as we could, but not so much heavy that it would have been a turnoff to a lot of. We wanted our demographic to be variable. We wanted to have as much range as we could. So if we went to a church, all our songs can be played acoustically. If we went to like a festival or Blue Ridge Rock Fest, Metal in the Mountains, you know, any festival, and you judge the way the crowd is, you could pretty much twist and turn whatever that style is on a dime. You know, he's like, "Hey, you know, dull down the screams a little bit, kind of harmonize with me a little bit for a softer crowd, or go heavy, real heavy, like real heavy, you know, just
let him take some of the lead on,
And-
and I'll,
yeah.
I'll back off. Some.
Utility.
Yeah,
very
utility.
much, yes.
So,
very much.
we push hard to have a sound that we think is unique, but still, and I hate to use a word that's like this, but a marketable sound that reaches a broad audience. So, I mean, you're going to hear
it's not
dubstep.
marketable, no one wants to hear it.
That's right. But you're going to hear dubstep and some stuff. You're going to hear some electronic,
Piano.
some piano. I play accordion in a couple of the songs that we have coming out.
There's some bass
There's
solos
some
in there.
bass solos
There's
and a lot of
there's
stuff.
never enough actual spotlight on how good bass players can be. And you can hear it in the mix. You can hear it in all sorts of stuff. Like obviously, if you see a progressive rock, progressive metal band like, you know, Rush, Dream Theater, yes, any of those, you're like, that bass player is awesome. But they put so much emphasis and spotlight on that guy that it has to be known. And if you don't do that with metal in certain aspects, he's just the meat. He's the backbone. He's like, I'm just holding it together and no one knows I'm here. And I don't want it to always seem that way.
Well, as far as genre, you know, progressive, definitely heavy, djent rhythms. We use the djent rhythms a lot. If you can name some subgenre in metal, there's a good chance that something exists in one of our songs that is gonna lean that way.
Just don't
really
call it new metal.
Yeah, just don't call it new metal.
I really like the range that you have in your music, and I like the fact that you go back and forth between distorted vocals and clean vocals. That, you know, it kind of gives a break to it, and there's a place for both of them. And a lot of times when you lean on something too much, it just becomes it loses its effect. And I've noticed that a lot of times with distorted vocals is that sometimes it just, you know, gets you lose it. Hey, and we've got Suffering Gift weighing in as well. They say same as us. We get it on playing so that all can listen. Yeah, it's I really wouldn't say marketable. I say it's so that you can reach out and hit all those different areas
right.
with your music and do that. You mentioned that you incorporate elements of djent in your music, and I love it. I love djent. Can you describe for our listeners who may not know what that is, what djent is?
Syncopation.
Yeah, it's more of a syncopated type syncopation. Yeah, syncopated type.
I guess layman's terms, almost like choppy but driving.
Yeah, more chugs. We're not using a djent stick. We use the whole guitar.
Yeah,
Because there is a such thing as a djent stick. It's just a pickup, an input, and one giant long stick with one string. And it is ridiculous how much you can do with just one string. But djent's mainly you can, the chugging patterns are like, and you have that rhythmic, something you can bounce your head to that stays within that nice rhythm. But if you throw melodic, guitar harmonies and leads on top of that, you actually accentuate the actual djent rhythm.
Djent is spelled Djent.
Yeah, so it's like djent, but
so if my general thought is if you try to pronounce the D, you'd get a djent rhythm, right? Djent.
We need like one of those little sensor bars, like djent.
Have you guys thought about doing that? That's okay. That's
no, it's fine.
Have you guys thought about doing stand-up comedy too? I mean, you guys are just absolutely hilarious.
That's what the ladies at work say, but then I try to make a real joke and they say stick to music.
Situationally, yes, comedy.
If it's real, it's funny. If you try to be funny, it's not funny.
I know how that feels.
I like telling stories, especially when I share the pulpit at church. I like telling stories, and I definitely use and utilize humor, kind of the same way I utilize music to get under people's skin,
so people don't fall asleep.
But also because it catches you unaware, right? You start all of a sudden everything's funny and everything's lighthearted, and then by the way, we're going to talk about something serious, and just kind of slam that point home, and everybody's like, oh, that was deep.
I was told by a comedian that if you have to explain the joke, it's not funny.
Yep.
Hey, we're going to come back in just a moment and check out some of your music. First of all, though, we got to take a quick commercial break, and we will be right back.
Perfect way to proudly display your love of God and country is with a custom-made wooden flag from 100% reclaimed materials. The Rugged American Flag Company can design a custom wooden flag for you or a loved one. A custom wooden flag makes the perfect gift for those serving in the military, law enforcement, emergency services, or any other profession of service. Call 803-521-0708 or email the Rugged American Flag Company, that's the Rugged American FLGCO at gmail.com to design your flag today. Stay rugged and rock on, America.
The first song that I'd like to listen to and for you to explain to us a little bit is one that you just released. It's called Chasing Nightmares. What's this song about?
I love this one. This is the most progressive one we've got now.
Ian, run us through the story, man. You haven't gotten to talk much. So what's the story?
You mainly wrote it.
He said, "I'll play bass."
I play bass.
I don't know. I feel like you would actually do it more.
What is your take on it? What does it mean to you?
I mean, you're these nightmares. You have all these things in your life that are pulling you down and weighting you down, and you're told to do this or do that, and then you kind of look around and you're like, is this really, what I need to be doing? Is this good for me, bad for me? And you're constantly chasing these things that could potentially be detrimental to you in your walk with Christ. And I mean, to me, I could go on and on, but to me, that's more the meat.
That's so chasing nightmares goes two ways, and that's it's intentional. That chasing can mean both me going after it and it coming after me.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So when you look at Chasing Nightmares, the song starts, it goes through talking about our daily life and the things that we're chasing after in life. And the idea and the chorus comes in with sometimes these dreams, they turn into nightmares. Sometimes the things that we're going after that we think we're supposed to be doing, or we think we're supposed to be following, maybe even with the best of intentions, sometimes they turn out to be not so good. And so as somebody that when I was a kid, I used to have several reoccurring nightmares that used to hit me. So a lot of this song comes from just some inspiration there, that from a very top level, that people that maybe had nightmares are going to recognize some imagery from. And then the rest of the song goes back into the nightmare that's chasing me. And the idea that sometimes when we wake up, immediately these things are gone, or sometimes
I don't know, man.
Yeah,
I'm
sometimes
still at work.
sometimes they stick with us. That's right. So
you ever go back to sleep to finish the nightmare?
oh yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
You ever
It never
you're
comes
like,
back to
man, no, that ain't how this ends. You know?
When I go to back to sleep, it's like,
Yeah.
no, it didn't come back.
Yeah.
So from a deep level is sometimes that these things come back to haunt us. And then
I wanna
sometimes
hear the song,
these
man.
are things that we chase after. So the song starts with somebody being chased through the woods.
It's actually me chasing
and
in the
it's
woods.
Matt running,
Is it really?
really still,
Yeah.
really
I was-
still
I was
running
in
in
our
a vocal
sound
booth. He's in the
uh,
sound booth
I was in our
right
sound
down here in
booth
the
next-
basement,
right
and,
next to this
he
room.
he was running in place to get this sound. So
Well, here we go with Chasing Nightmares with a running performance by Matt.
Man, headbang too.
Yes, you can headbang to it.
Here we go.
Take the
We're all
headphones
gonna
off.
headbang right now, and here we go. I lost myself in that. It's like, oh wow, I was just in another zone.
Yeah, me
That
and Corbin
is- that is just
understand
unreal. And it just goes to show, I have so many people say sometimes that, oh, well, I've never heard them on the radio, never heard of stuff like that. And this is an example of the stuff you hear on the radio is what the machine wants you to hear.
Yeah.
It's not really that great. It's what they're pushing and think you need to hear because they don't think you're smart enough. This is intelligent. No, really, that's really what it
Yeah,
comes
that's
down
right.
to.
Yeah,
And-
the average
yeah.
average pop song is written between 4th and 8th grade level as far as reading is
Yeah.
concerned. That's something when
Yeah.
we start writing music, we throw out the window.
as far as the machine, I think the machine still wants you to listen to Leonard Skinner.
yeah, yeah.
And I'm not gonna play Freebird. That's a running joke. If you
Yeah,
come
it's
to
a running
shows.
joke. Freebird.
Yeah.
Play Freebird.
Yeah, if you come to shows, people are like, "Play Freebird." And I'm
Yeah,
like,
that is not no. Hey, we got some comments on this that I want to read so that those that watch and listen on the replay, I think you've got some new supporters now and
Awesome.
new fans. Warriors of Light. I mean, these guys are awesome, and they say, "Whoa, this crushes, brothers." I mean, that's a huge compliment
Appreciate
from
the
them.
encouragement.
Yeah,
Thank you.
appreciate that.
Yeah.
We also have Stephen Jones, almost a Breaking Benjamin feel, but by no means does it lack originality. I'm impressed, guys. Quality for sure. I mean, that is just
Thank you.
just
Thanks.
really. And then we got Suffering Gift. They say that's tight. I mean,
That sounds like more your
Yep.
generation. I like your cut, G.
You have to get clean smacking out of
No,
that.
no.
in that song, you just went all over the place. I mean, the clean vocals are so clean; they just kind of float. And then the distorted vocals; those are awesome distorted vocals. The way that they're done and the way that it goes back and forth. You go the rhythms, the change ups, everything like that. I just got totally lost in that song. I had listened to
I'm
a
so
portion
hyped.
of it. Yeah, I had
Wanna
listened
play.
to
I straight up wanna play.
I listened to a portion of it the other night. I was like, "Oh yeah, this is awesome. We got to put," but I didn't listen to the whole thing, and I'm glad I didn't because it just surprised me. And I'm like, "Whoa, this is." Oh, it's time to go back on. It's time to go back on air.
We're getting YouTube reactions. like that one dude that reacts to Aviana.
Yeah, I watch them too.
Yeah.
Oh, me.
There's another song that I'd like to talk about and feature, and I'm really interested in what the catalyst for this song was and what inspired you to write it. You Are My Everything.
Yeah, we're all looking at that.
Yeah, everybody's
again.
looking at me again.
Okay.
Um,
He lets me have like one song.
Yeah, I
right?
let Matt have one song on the album, and I name it after him, so it doesn't feel bad.
Yeah. Which Corbin was actually
Yeah,
on
Corbin
that,
was
too.
Corbin was on the first. So our first EP that we released several years ago was called "Sometimes When You Win, You Lose," and it runs the gambit for basically all of our musical stylings. What we tried to do is put something out that when we played shows at smaller venues, at churches, that they could hear a complete range of sound from as soft as we go to as heavy as we go.
Sound like Boston.
And
soft.
soft, as
Sorry.
soft. I
I'm
don't know where
sorry.
my accent is from. Apparently, somewhere in the Midwest. But I'm from Virginia. I don't know. Anyway, so "You Are My Everything" was a song that I put together and wrote in probably the course of about 20 minutes. I had been struggling with several things going on in life during the early part of that album and recording and putting these songs together. My mom had been diagnosed with cancer. And actually the week we released our CD, we had a single hit the radio, "Treading Water," was a single off that. And she passed away the following week. And so she got to hear us have radio play, and that was pretty awesome. That's good things that she had. Both my parents were in church music, so
Okay.
I was exposed to a lot of different musical styles growing up, and a lot of different options for Christian and secular music that my parents exposed me to. So she was a classically trained musician, and she went to Baylor. She played the harp. She played piano and organ. So lots of classical music, a lot of range that she exposed me to early on. So "You Are My Everything" is the idea. I mean, it's the title is everything, pun intended.
Yeah,
Dad joke.
yeah,
That was a
pretty
dad
much.
joke.
I
That's
can't
why he
wait.
didn't
So,
get it, because you have to explain it.
Yeah, I had to explain it.
I can't wait to tell my dad.
Don't rush these things, man. I don't want to get that old yet.
What do you
So,
mean, Donna?
you are my everything. There's a couple lines in there that really just kind of resonate with me. And the second verse starts, "Word blender, fix these broken bones, and restore a vigor to my heart." And a lot of the things that were going on in my life at that time, I've been a believer for so long, and I've followed and I've done the best I can. And at some point, we come to a time where we realize that we've done all this and we're just spinning our wheels. One of the lines in the chorus is, "I've turned so aimlessly," and proclaiming the name of Christ in especially a bar or a heavy metal situation, my Jesus, I am ready. The idea that I'm ready to lean into the fact that, God, you are everything to me. You're my morning, you're my waking, you're my sleeping, and everything in between. So as we deal with all these things going on, God, you are my everything. Another lyric that really sticks in my head is, "I'm on my knees bathing in mercy." So often as Christians, we beg mercy or we beg forgiveness. But the idea that I'm bathing in mercy, I'm on my knees and I'm giving my everything to you, but God, you are filling me back up, and you are washing me clean, and you are renewing me. So that's kind of the overall whole arc of the song. But again, it was one of those songs where you just sit down and this simple 4-chord song has a really crazy riff in the beginning that is something we had that we were playing as an intro at the time. And we put that in there as as to throw you off, like I do with my comedy. I like to come in there really heavy, and then all of a sudden it's like, wait, that's an acoustic guitar. What is that? So we threw in the syncopation and stuff on the second verse. It's about as far into the worship genre as we have on a recording. So we play this one as a worship song in church. We played this. In some of our other settings, and have some different versions of it that we play, both heavier and softer.
See what you're doing? See what you're doing?
Making him sleep. Play the song.
All right. This is "You Are My Everything."
Corbin,
yes, by a vessel of honor. Here we go. Absolutely beautiful, beautiful song. That really shows your versatility.
Thank you.
Thanks.
And it's hard
Thank
to
you.
believe that was written in 20 minutes. That is the most profound 20 minute.
And I'm telling you, man, the hundreds of times we played it in practice and played it out live, I get cold chills still every
Yeah.
time playing
Yeah.
that song.
Yeah. The lead vocals on that. Oh, we've got a comment from Warriors of Light. Another one.
Epic.
Epic. Yeah.
Thank you. I gotta get up with those guys later.
Yeah, get up with and if you need me to help you get up with them, I will help you do that. So
Yes,
awesome.
we'll make that happen. Yeah, listening to that song, I listened to that one last night some too, and the other night as well. And when I listened to the lead vocals on that, it kind of takes me back to like the 80s. Blue Oyster Cult with Buck Dharma and his vocals, how they just kind of floated. And I was always mesmerized by those vocals. Some of their songs just really disturbed me and still disturb me. And I think I know why. The spirit just does not agree with it. But some of them I'm like, whoa, that is just so well put together. And Buck Dharma's voice, I'm like, man. And I just could never figure out what a shooting shark was. And that was one of the worst music videos ever made. I have to do this because I know Jermaine from Tricord, the band in Georgia, is going to be watching, and he waits for this during every edition. This is his bud. We have in our studio Mac the Metal Dog. Yes. We just let the dogs out. Yeah. And what you guys do is totally Mac the Metal Dog approved, because he sits in here when I listen to the music and listens to it as well as we preview and prepare for each edition. So it is totally Mac the Metal Dog approved. If you want that as a graphic for your next album saying that this is Mac the Metal Dog approved on the back, I'll send you the graphics. So
yes, I will do
that. You mentioned he was in Georgia, right?
Yes, Jermaine is in Tricord. They are in Georgia, and he messaged me, and they are going to be watching on the replay. So you have another band that's going to be checking you out as well. And
we'll be in
we have
Georgia.
A show,
yeah, we've got a show in Savannah
on May 7th.
May 7th.
On May 7th? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So we'll be down there.
Nice.
With, Right Lane Productions in James Lane.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yep. That's awesome to hear that you've got some shows that are coming up for you guys. Where else are you going to be in the next couple months?
Well,
Tennessee.
Yeah. All right. So April 2nd, we're going to be in Clarksville, Tennessee. We're going to be April 30th. We're also going to go back to Tennessee at Chattanooga. And then May 7th at Georgia. And I'm trying to lock down a show in Florida. I'm trying to lock down a show in New York, and I'm trying to lock down another show in Illinois.
Mm-hmm. Yep,
and,
right outside of Chicago.
One more in Maryland and one more in DC.
Yep.
And possibly South Carolina.
Yep.
Be on the
lookout
Charleston,
for the South Carolina. We've got a pretty good connection down there, and we've played several spots around there.
And my wife just said,
awesome.
"Who's that?"
Yes. Jesus. Yeah, you guys are, and that's what I like about and really enjoy about doing this live stream is it builds community.
Yeah,
you know,
great.
I love that.
This is how we all find each other. And Stephen Jones, he was on a couple weeks ago with Suffering Gift. What awesome, profound things he was saying as well. They're really awesome. And yeah, his wife said, "What's that?" I mean, if the wife likes it, it's gotta be good.
Yeah, there you go. The ball is open. Yep. So where is Suffering Gift stationed out of?
They're in Charleston, South Carolina.
Oh, shoot.
Oh,
yes.
yeah.
Yes.
So all I gotta do is talk to my boy Sean.
Yeah.
Maybe get down there and
get a
get
show with them
again.
Yeah, Sean is a big help. As you know, here in Charleston, we do get Revelation Rock Fest. Unfortunately, our stage is full right now for this year.
Right.
But with the response that I'm getting from Braden and Laura, they are mentors with me on Rock Fest. And I'm thinking we need to get you guys to Charleston for Rock Fest in 2023.
Oh, we're down.
I think we need to do that. Yep, absolutely. Suffering Gift here, body swaying, gentle. Let me see what he said here. We've got a body swaying, gentle head bob, hands risen, my heart's exposed. Lauren, clean my heart from what I endure from this world. Thank you for giving me hope. That's what touched my heart listening to the riff.
Awesome.
Man, people are being touched by your music tonight, guys.
Good. That's good.
Be encouraged. Be encouraged with what you're doing. It's so awesome, and I know it's difficult. And I wanted to ask you that question. because you guys are doing a work for the Lord. You're out there for the gospel, shining the light of the Lord. What are some difficulties that, besides the headphones? What are some difficulties?
He needs a drink of water.
What are some difficulties you guys have had in getting forward motion in what you're doing, and how has God helped you through those?
Okay, so go ahead.
I mean, I think the main thing is life circumstances. Thad explained earlier that his mother died. Matt's had some personal things throughout the past 3 or 4 years. I've changed a couple jobs growing through my early 20s, so that's difficult to schedule. I got married. I re-enrolled in college. Yep. So I would say
and got a degree.
Yes, I now have a degree. Yeah. Yep. And
got to give credits due.
I would say just scheduling and life in general seems to throw a curveball everywhere we turn. And I think that's the devil working against us, but we just have decided we're not going to quit.
Yep. That's right. Yeah. Booking has been a challenge for us. I'm not even in charge of that, and I understand how hard that's been. Drummers have been a challenge. We've been through several drummers, and Corbin through all those different drummers, learning our music over and over, came down one day and played some of the music. And
let me break that down a little bit.
So
break that down a little bit. All right. So at the early stages of Corbin's, music learning and what he wanted to learn, whatever. And I'm going to throw some band names out, just for reference. He would listen to like Anna's Okay, Slipknot, Chevelle, all these other type of bands, and Linkin Park, stuff like that. And he was like, I want to know what's going on. I want to know what's, happening. Because he would go to his room, and he has a drum set in his room, or he did at that time. And he would play, and he would learn all by ear, all by feel. And then he started getting a little too fast on one foot, and then we bought him a double bass pedal, and then he started just immediately hooking it up. Yeah. He knew exactly what he was doing. So when he started doing that, he was like, all I hear is you play downstairs. I want to come downstairs. I want to hear what you're doing. And I'm like, all right. So he comes down, he hangs out, he listens, he stays quiet, he doesn't interrupt. He's very well mannered. And then he listens to all of the problems that he's seeing that I am doing and that Thad is doing. And before Ian even got into the band, what other bass player we may have had at that point. And he's like, what I see the most is that you guys are having problems with a drummer. You're having problems with the drummer either being able to copy the material or keep up on the footwork. And he was like, can I play it? And I'm like, sure, just go ahead, but don't do it during practice. And he's like, all right. Well, he would practice. A couple months later, he had the whole album done. So he was like, hey, can I try out? And I'm like, well, son, you're a little too young. At this point, you're like 6 years old. There's no way at 6. There's no way. And he's doing all of this at that time. And there's no way at 6 he was going to be able to get into anywhere other than a church. So I was like, keep playing. Keep constantly practicing. I'll have you come in. You'll record a little with us or whatever. And we would, buy new equipment for him to try to get better and faster. I would try to show him as many different dynamic techniques as possible, and he'd learn as much as he could because he's just now getting to the point where in middle school, he's going to start marching band and he's going to start doing drum line. And he already knows half note, whole note, quarter note, 16, 32, all that stuff. And he knows the measures and sequences and stuff like that, which me and him always count differently. He counts to the book. I count to the sequence. So because with progressiveness, he looks at like something as a 4/4.
Oh yeah.
I'm like, no, that's like, all right, you're doing it in 4/4. I'm gonna do that like 8 times.
Yeah. He said, I want to play the riff 8 times. And
I'm like, no, that's
24 measures, man. You gotta.
So I was like, you know what? Just let me hear a click. And don't make it an offset 4th click. Just make it constant 1 click, and we'll figure it out. And it worked that way. And once he got to that point, he was like, 9 2 years ago? And he was like just getting ready to turn 10 last year. And we were like, all right, I'll tell you what, we'll let you play 2 shows. We'll see how it goes. But before we do that, we got to let you practice. And he was like, all right, my biggest concern, and this is what broke my heart. He said, my biggest concern is I don't want to let anyone down.
Oh, wow.
And I'm like, son, you just play to your heart's content. And none of these guys are going to sit there and be like, you suck. No, he ain't going to do that. They were really very good constructive criticism.
Yeah.
They did it as if they were talking to an adult.
Yep.
Not
Wow.
a kid.
That's right.
So
And he hangs in
he
there,
took
man.
it and he ran. Oh,
and
man.
And he I've played with a lot of drummers in a lot of different
Mhm.
places, and this kid's nuts.
Yeah.
Wow.
If
My
none of
thing
us
is-
ever make it, that kid's going
Yeah,
somewhere.
my thing is if he's this good now at 10, at 11,
Yeah.
Yeah.
right? I have to
Yeah.
keep saying 11 now. But this amp goes to 11. Why not just make 10 loud? No. Let's go to 11. Anyway, so if he keeps going at the rate he's going,
Yeah.
I want to see what he turns out in like 5 more years.
Yeah. It's
Yeah.
gonna be
I'm
awesome.
already
It's gonna be
growing a
awesome to follow.
mustache.
Yep. He's proud of that.
I'm so proud.
It is a
Yeah,
season of acceleration.
Learned
Corbin,
last time.
So
I have to say hats off to you. I am just so impressed with the giftings that God has put in you. Your dad was just sharing with me how, while you were getting a glass of water, how you came into the band and how you saw the need for a drummer. Just the perception there, that's a gifting to see that, to be able to troubleshoot like that. And I just want to, I just believe that God's going to use you mightily, even more mightily than you think right now. And I believe that for all of you and what you're doing. How can our viewers and our listeners help support what you're doing?
oh man.
Request us to come and play
yeah.
in your hometown, and we will.
Yep.
Yes.
That is our
Definitely.
main focus. We want to come and play and show you exactly what our message is. Just we want to come and just make a positive impact.
Yep. And they can, if they're hearing us here and they'd like to hear us in their church, they'd like us to do any kind of program. We do everything from one-off concerts to weekends to whatever is needed at the church, or
As long
the
as it's
youth
ahead of
group, or
time.
Lead
Yeah.
some study.
lead Bible studies.
Give
do
us like
anything.
what, 2 weeks?
Yeah,
2
yeah,
weeks
2
ahead?
weeks
At the
notice,
most.
we can make something work.
Yeah.
At the most.
It's like a job, right?
So, yeah. Of course they can buy our music. That's awesome. But they can share it. That goes a lot further. We've got some t-shirts out there in the world for sale.
We got 2 more designs
coming. So we've got some merch.
Oh, yeah.
That's always
Nice.
good.
We got merch.
Money, we accept PayPal.
No, absolutely. Absolutely.
That is the most
gas
disgusting
is going
part
up
of this job is talking about
yeah.
money.
It is.
Money.
It's
I'm so proud.
it's difficult to go that route, but yeah, that's a need.
We have to.
You got to. But no, the biggest way they can support us, in a lot of the areas that we play, we love to connect with a church in an area that we're playing in.
Oh yeah.
And so if you guys are out there and you're in some of these cities where we're talking about going, or you want to hear us in your city, we don't just need that connection to a venue. We'd like to make a connection to a church, because that way, when we're working with a church in an area and they can get a few people to come out to the show, when people start wanting to respond, or people start wanting to know what kind of church would support this kind of ministry, we can connect them with somebody right there on spot. So that level of support is huge. We always look for places to stay. So when we're coming through an area, or when we're having to stay in somewhere, that's another way that we love to connect with a church and spread out and stay with some church
Our
folks
main
and
focus at
eat
the
church
point of
folks' food.
booking. Yeah, our main focus at the point of booking was to do weekend shows until we can get enough of resources to where we could do touring. But the way we were trying to set it up is Friday night venue show, Saturday night venue show, Saturday morning church service,
Sunday morning.
Sorry,
Yep.
Sunday morning church service.
Yep.
And I'd say the easiest way to support is to just pray for us, pray for the hearts that we haven't even met.
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, I truly believe in that. If it's just one person, that makes it all worth it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. What you're all doing just completely resonates in me, and I will get you in touch with Laura and Braden. I'll probably get the email out to you tomorrow, where you can all link up through that and do that. And then we're going to start talking about 2023 for you at Rockfest here in Charleston.
Awesome.
Everything that you do totally resonates. Everything that you're talking about tonight, and you guys are absolutely hilarious.
We've known each other a long time.
I want to tell you a story about this.
Do tell.
Sorry. All right, so I was having a rough time with religion in general because my family just didn't go to church. My grandparents did. You got it? My grandparents went to church, but I didn't really get to see my grandparents as much as I would like to. And I was like, I need to get more involved with this. I need to figure out a way to get more involved with this. And it was high school. And during all of middle school, all I did was take my guitar to school with me everywhere I went.
Even in the yearbook.
Yeah. So like the high school yearbook, I'm not in it. My guitar is in it. My name's there and my guitar's right above it, and I'm just not in it at all. I don't know if it was just because I didn't pay the dues or what. I don't remember. It was a blur. All I remember is just math.
I graduated, right?
Math, science, and guitar playing. That's all. But they had this thing. It was called Prayer at the Flagpole.
Yeah, see you at the pole.
See you at the pole. And I had an acoustic, and that's all they would allow me to bring for my my freshman year, because they were like, dude, no, you can't bring an electric. You got to bring an amp. I was like, dude, I got a little pocket amp. I mean, I've been fine. But they would let me bring an acoustic, so I had to lug this gigantic, block of wood around with strings on it. Wasn't really an acoustic type player because I would play lead on acoustic while this guy used a capo for the rest of his life.
Yep. I love funky tunings and weird half capos.
I'm
and
not
all
a
that
capo
stuff.
guy. Very soiled.
Billy Foot. If you've ever heard Billy Foot, he plays like nine different capos on his guitar.
We're at the flagpole and we're all getting ready to play, and he's tuning up, and obviously he takes the lead. He's like, I got a song for all of us to play, and I'm like, all right, cool. But then he breaks a string.
Yep.
And then this, manly guy right here is like, oh, it's
before my dad
I'm
bod
just gonna
grew in.
wrap my hand around this string and just pull it out.
Yeah, it's a good idea.
No, he sliced his hand all the way. And I was like, here, you can just play my guitar, man.
Yeah, so once you bled on somebody's guitar, you're friends.
That's it.
That's the rules.
They can't get rid of me now.
Yeah, so we became fast friends, and we actually worked with a band at that church and we got involved together. And then
you got to tell us.
And then around that same time, a little bit before, this cat had been born.
This cat.
And my parents, like I said, were music ministers. And at the time, my dad led the choir. My mom played piano and organ. And his parents sung in the choir. Well, so what would happen is I'm a teenager, right? And I have to be at choir because my parents are both there. And this guy is a baby, so he has to be there because they're not going to leave him at home. So I babysit this dude for like 4 or 5 years. And so it's literally, I've known him his whole life, and we kind of went our separate ways for when he was in high school and when I was growing up and whatever.
For the emo years.
Yeah, the emo years there. The pop punk Reliant K years.
Story of the year, man.
Story of the year. Okay. Well, it's story of the year. Reliant K. Anyway, so I started hanging out with this dude, and then of course I've known, Corbin this was the first kid I ever held. Yeah. And today on my memory feed was him at Burger King
holding him way out here.
And I was holding him up here, and he decides he's gonna throw himself over. So I am in a Burger King crown, almost dropping him on my memory feed. So that's my practice kid.
He was like the third or fourth person to ever hold him at the hospital.
Yeah.
Wow. So we really are. When you started saying earlier, it's a family affair.
Yeah.
This is family right here. Like we're brothers and uncles and cousins and whatever. So
get on in.
Oh, I love it.
Ian's like, I just want this Brady Bunch moment to go away.
Ian said, I play bass.
I play bass.
I play bass.
And just think, it all started by bleeding on a guitar.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah,
The
Transformers. in there
strangest,
somewhere.
strangest
I know what it
thing.
was famous too.
Yeah, that was,
Guys, thank you so much for joining us this evening. You can hang on. We got to take one more pause for the cause here. Just hang on, and when we go off, we'll talk offline and continue a little bit. But
right.
for those that have been watching us and are listening to us, until next time, peace out and rock on.
The church in Charleston, South Carolina is leaving the building on Saturday, May 14th for a day of ministry through music at Get Revelation Rockfest 2022. Headlining Get Revelation Rockfest at the Hanahan Amphitheater is Warriors of Light. Other artists include Jenna Parr, The Last Trumpet, Ziggy, Armor of God, Filthy Rags, Red Calling, Zandria Cross, Nettie, Tricord, and Suffering Gift. More information and tickets can be found on Eventbrite or at lithoscry.com. That's LITHOSCRY.com. Come on out and join us to rock on and set captives free with the gospel.
lithoscry.com